Hey everyone, SpiderMan 1991 here to talk about my reviews for the week. Okay, Invincible Iron Man number 31. Again, we got another part of the whole revival of Stark Resilient and Hammer's war with Stark, and once again it's going slow because, well, first of all, we have the aftermath of Tony being able to survive the explosion because the Iron Man armor is with him now. And then he speaks to Pepper and then decides to get rid of civilians by pulling out of the convention, unveiling the car at their factory, and they start to put another car into production. But Tony's worried that it's going to be the beta car, if you will, because the alpha car was destroyed. So now they got to go with the beta car, and Tony's worried that it's not going to hold up well. Meanwhile, Hammer has now decided to attack Tony Stark just to prove that, Detroit Steel is better than Iron Man. And at first it looks like the pilot of Detroit Steel, Lieutenant Johnson, is about to quit because he doesn't want to hurt American civilians, but Justine Hammer pulls him back in and he agrees to it, unfortunately. Meanwhile, come on the big day, Tony takes the car out, and then one of his employees who has the Detroit Steel app remembers that today everyone gets a new map. Everyone playing the game gets a new map, and the map looks exactly like the racetrack. So he goes off and warns Tony that he's going to be attacked by Hammer drones. He's able to get out there in time to stop the car, but unfortunately the drones attack. And the issue ends saying that Detroit Steel is in the air and en route. And it says, as a teaser, it says that we'll actually finally get to see Detroit Steel fight Iron Man. Okay, I'm not so sure if that's really going to happen or not, if Detroit Steel is going to be able to attack Iron Man, but so far right now, it's been pretty boring with Iron Man. I mean, I understand Tony needs to build his company up and fixed already, but it just seems like this story arc is dragging on and on for a while, and I just want it to be over with now, so just have him fight Detroit Steel and have him just get back to being rich Tony Stark with this cool suit of armor, okay? But there is always light in my Marvel pile, as Amazing Spider-Man 645 is out too. Origin of Species is definitely a good series, is definitely a good story arc, but I do not like the artwork. Basically, after hearing the news that the baby died, supposedly, which was just a lie thought of by the Chameleon, Peter Parker just leaves his camera there in trade for a chemical factory to get a ton of web fluid made. And now pretty much Spider-Man goes off on a rampage and attacks every single one of his member of his rogues gallery. We've got the Spot, Diablo, Speedball, Looter, and Harry. Meanwhile, Harry Osborn is considering using the Goblin formula to go get his brother. Oh, and Tombstone manages to follow Carly Cooper to where Lily Holster is. Tombstone gets ready to attack her, but Lily uses a phone to summon her Goblin glider. Meanwhile, Spidey's still hunting down a member of his rogues gallery. Then he finally gets to the Enforcers, Shocker, and Sandman. Oh no, that was cool. Forgot. That was pretty cool. He leveled half this abandoned building, which surprisingly looks just almost like the building from Spider-Man 2, where Doc Ock set up his secret lab. Well, I mean, with a two-story version of it. So Spider-Man is able to level it, grab Shocker, take out Sandman, then force Shocker to tell him that Doc Ock based himself at the Kravinoff mansion. Cutscene: Spider-Man shows up, finds the Chameleon, and Chameleon says that while he was about to deliver the baby to Dr. Octopus, the baby gets stolen by the Lizard. Oh wait, does it say to be concluded there? Yes, it does. To be concluded. Thank you. Alright, so now pretty much the story has gone from Spider-Man in the role of Baby's Day Off to now a thrilling game of pass the baby along between supervillain to supervillain. Alright, Origin of Species has been a great story arc so far. I've loved it. It's been a ton of villains, and to see Peter Parker and see Spider-Man just go off in one night to take out like almost every single villain he's ever fought is really great. Again, my complaint is that the artwork is bad. Pretty bad. Well, that concludes Marvel. Now for DC. As we start off with Green Lantern number 58. The blue entity, Adara, has chosen a host. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, our story opens up with Sinestro and Atrocitus hunting the Rage entity. And Carol Ferris reveals that she's going to stay on Zamaran and become the new leader of the Star Sapphires. While the Hope entity is able to bond with the kidnapped little girl who still remains Hope in her situation and forgives her captor. Lerfleeze is guarding the guy who was possessed by the Predator entity last issue, and the guy reveals that he saw that Lerfleeze was ripped away from his family and that Lerfleeze isn't even his real name. So Lerfleeze gets angry, gets ready to beat the crap out of him, but Hal's able to stop him, and they get a call from St. Walker to return from Earth, where St. Walker takes them to the host of the Hope entity. And the girl tells Lerfleeze that his parents are out there and they miss him, which gives him hope. And then she checks Hal and finds a bunch of hope in him, but he refuses to hope. She doesn't know why. And the last page, though, is Barry Allen showing up saying that Green Lantern needs to know about his new friends. Obviously, he's referring to Sinestro and Atrocitus. Okay, Green Lantern number 58. I would say that the story is pretty average right now. It's interesting to see all the Lanterns, all the guys who were in Blackest Night working together again to find all the entities. Still pretty good. Hoping that we get to the Rage entity pretty soon. That would be sweet. Alright, moving right along. Superman 703. This time Superman is in Ohio. And from where we last left off, he does meet Batman. But this is Dick Grayson Batman. You thought it would be Bruce Wayne, but it's actually Dick Grayson. And first, Batman accuses Superman of having an emotional breakdown. And then Superman tries to counteract the argument by telling him that his parents and Bruce's parents weren't murdered by supervillains, but just by average people. And that wouldn't it have felt better if there was someone to stop even average people from causing harm. And of course Dick counteracts by saying that while he's there, Brainiac Metallo could target him at any time, and that doesn't just put him at risk, but puts everyone around him at risk. And that isolation is the price they pay for their lives. And Lois informs Clark that debris of New Krypton was found in Danville, Ohio. So when two boys take one of the pieces to be examined by their teacher, she gets taken over and leaves, and apparently gives superpowers to the local town drunk. And when he shows up and he's able to pretty much give Superman a fair fight, but it's only temporary. And of course, finally we get Superman fights someone, which is bad news because in the end the town is practically destroyed. And of course, though, some people on the news are pretty sad, but some say that it's not Superman's fault. He had to defend himself, but others are accusing him, saying that it is his fault and that Superman's already lost 2 worlds. Does he really want a third? Do we really need to add a third one to the list? Alright, Superman Grounded. I love JMS's Superman. This has been pretty good about Superman walking the country, trying to reconnect with average people, looking out for them. I think it's great. Plus, we finally have him fight someone who's really strong, who's strong enough to go toe-to-toe with him. Even if it did nearly destroy an entire town, it was still pretty awesome. Now then, Adventure Comics. Another tale of the Legion's past, as Chameleon Boy, Shrinking Violet, and Invisible Kid go out, try to stop a criminal from stealing robots from Rimbor. And during the fight, though, you can see during their little adventure, you can see Chameleon Boy and Shrieking Violet able to hold their own while they're doing this, Invisible Kid, mostly during, okay, I'll skip this for now, because right now, that part, because it's kind of telling 2 stories at once, but right now, Superboy is able to see his friends from the Legion as they, instead of going to the future, they decide to spend the day in 21st century Smallville. So first they have to experience natural weather, even the harshest conditions, which Superboy is able to do by creating a twister around light. And then, meanwhile, the Legion espionage squad, as they like to be called, is able to hold their own somewhat against the robots, but Invisible Kid is hiding most of the time. And Shrieking Violet is able to disable them. Chameleon Boy will, of course, transform into huge monsters. And meanwhile, back in Smallville, Super Clark helps the Legion build a barn. And while they're Zarian, that's the name of the super criminal the espionage squad is fighting. But while Shrieking Violet and Chameleon Kid are taking care of the foot soldiers, Invisible Kid lets Zarian get away. And in Smallville, at night, a Brainiac probe lands on Earth because it's particularly in Smallville, because of Superboy's ship, because the probes go wherever the most highest form of technology is, which in this case, an alien ship. The Legion, Brainiac 5 is able to stop the probe and delete his memory so that Brainiac doesn't show up again anytime soon until Superman is, well, Superman. Alright, now for the Atom backup feature. The Atom backup feature is pretty great, because now Ray finally learns what his Uncle Dave was actually doing, and we finally learn a bit more about the colony. The colony was built after the Cold War to pretty much counter the Russians, but then after the fall of the Berlin Wall and everything, after the Cold War, everything just they pretty much had funding cut back, but they couldn't stop their experiments. And it was always about seeing the big picture with them, but Dave broke away and decided to get out, and he kept Ray's intellect a secret so that they wouldn't find him. And he shows Ray that he built pretty much a device called the Ant Farm, which is basically a second Earth in case something really bad happened to the planet, that there would be another system for human beings to live. And he couldn't access it before without the Atom's shrinking technology and and Dave's teleporter. And it ends with the colony showing up, and the Atom is able to shoot out a sword from his belt, which is pretty cool, because now he's going to be going back to Sword of the Atom, I guess. Okay, again, Adventure Comics, not pretty good. The Legion feature, it's good, but not really good, because, well, it kind of gives you an idea of what the Legion was like when it first started, and kind of what Superman was like when he was a boy, which is pretty much the point. And the Atom backup feature is pretty awesome, which I do like a lot, though. The Atom backup feature is awesome. Okay, I'll be making a part 2 video, so stay tuned.